After 6 years together, I thought I knew him. Then I opened his phone to play music and saw a group chat called The Real Life. The messages were about me. One said, "She still thinks we're monogamous." So cute. I sat in silence while he came out of the shower. He kissed me and said, "What's for dinner?" I smiled. That night, I fed him something that would force the truth to spill. I 38 female lived with my boyfriend 41 male, Luke, for 6 years. We were never married, but it felt like we were. We had the routines. We split bills. We had a dog together for 2 years before he passed. We hosted holidays. His mother used to call me her daughter-in-law in training. I was sure we'd be married eventually. That's what we talked about. I trusted him completely. Like, completely. Luke was the type of man who looked you in the eye and told you what you wanted to hear with a straight face. Not in an obviously fake way. No. He was the type who seemed solid. Reliable. He fixed the dryer when it broke. He picked up prescriptions when I was sick. He sent flowers to my work when I got promoted. He said, "I love you," every single day. We didn't have screaming fights. We had dumb arguments like, who left the fridge door open? He never raised his voice at me. He never hit me. That's what messed me up the most. Nothing ever looked wrong. I found out everything on a random Tuesday in April. He was in the shower. I was cleaning the kitchen. My phone was dead and I wanted to play music while I did the dishes. His phone was on the counter. We never had passwords on our phones. That was his idea. I opened Spotify, and that's when I saw the messages. A group chat at the top of the screen. It said, "The Real Life." I don't know why I opened it. I wasn't suspicious. I just thought it was a work group or something. First message I saw was, "She still thinks y'all are monogamous." So cute, lol. I remember standing there frozen. My hands were wet from the sink. I kept reading. "You get that girl's number from Knoxville yet?" "Already did." "Wifey's clueless." And then Luke responded, "Careful bro. She's always around." But yeah. She don't suspect a thing. Wifey. He was calling me wifey. The joke was on me. Then came the photos. Him with random women. In bars. On trips I wasn't invited to. Messages forwarded from other girls. Laughing about how I make lunch like a mom, and how she still thinks I'm gonna propose. I wanted to throw up. I didn't even cry. I just stood there with the water running and my heart racing. I must have read for 5 minutes straight before I heard the shower turn off. I didn't say a word. I locked the screen and set the phone back down on the counter. He came out of the bathroom in a towel, whistling some stupid song. Walked over to me, kissed my cheek, and said, "Hey babe. What's for dinner?" I smiled and said, "Thinking pasta." That night, I made him fettuccine alfredo. His favorite. He's lactose intolerant. Not in a deadly way, just in a way that makes him real uncomfortable if he has too much dairy. Normally, I never cooked anything with real cream. But that night I did. I used heavy cream, real butter, and real Parmesan. He ate the whole plate. I just sat across from him, watching him talk about his day. Like nothing was wrong. After about 15 minutes, I could tell his stomach was acting up. He shifted in his seat. Rubbed his belly. Tried to hide it, but I knew. Something off with the sauce? I asked. "Nah, just feel weird," he said, standing up. "Gonna go lay down." I nodded. As soon as he went to the bathroom, I got to work. I went into our office. Turned on his desktop. Everything was synced. iMessages. Photos. Downloads. I started collecting. Screenshots. Full chat logs. Emails. Airdrop history. I dug deep. It wasn't just one girl. Or even two. I found 12 different women over the past 3 years. Some were one-night stands. Some were flings on work trips. Some were full-blown secret relationships. One woman, Rachel from Atlanta, thought they were exclusive. He had met her family. I downloaded everything. Labeled it all. Dates, names, photos, text transcripts. I organized it by year. I even added notes with explanations like, "This was the weekend he told me he had the flu." I waited. I didn't confront him the next day. Or the day after. I kept the routine going. I kissed him goodbye before work. I made dinner. I laughed at his dumb jokes. He never suspected a thing. Meanwhile, I was building the file. I sent everything to myself. Created an anonymous Gmail. Then sent the same file to his boss, his mom, and, my personal favorite, his group chat, The Real Life. I attached a note, "She doesn't suspect a thing. She knows. And now you all do too." The fallout started fast. He came home from work the next Monday looking pale. I was on the couch, watching reruns. "Something weird is going on," he said. "Oh yeah?" I replied, keeping my eyes on the TV. I got logged out of my email. Then my mom called. She said someone sent her pictures. Pictures? I asked. Don't play dumb. He was starting to sweat. Did you go through my stuff? I looked him straight in the eye and said, I made dinner. Then I cleaned the kitchen. Then I organized some files. He stared at me like I was a stranger. Then he yelled, "You're F*** king crazy." I stood up and said, maybe. But at least I'm not a liar. He didn't sleep in our bed that night. He stayed on the couch. In the morning, he packed a duffel bag and left. But it didn't end there. Rachel, the girl from Atlanta, I found her on Instagram. I DM'd her from my real account. Told her who I was. Sent her everything. She called me crying. Said he told her I was just his roommate. She made a story post with a picture of Luke and the caption, "Double life equals double loser." More women reached out after that. I told them all the truth. We made a group chat called The Real Life. 6 of us in total. We compared timelines. Shared receipts. Turns out, Luke was also borrowing money from 2 of them. One paid his car insurance. Another covered his hotel bill in Charleston. He told her his card wasn't working. I passed the evidence to someone who worked in HR at his company, one of the women's friends. 3 days later, he was fired. Apparently, he was charging his side pieces dinners and hotel rooms on the company card. After Luke lost his job, he tried to spin it. He told people he quit. Said the company was toxic. That he was ready to move on. But I knew better. He was desperate. I could tell because 2 days after he left, I got a message from a random number, "I'm sorry. Can we talk?" I ignored it. He sent 5 more texts over the next week. Then he started calling from blocked numbers. Then his mom called me. "Sweetie, Luke's been going through a lot. I know you two had issues, but maybe just talk to him." I asked her straight up, "Did you see the messages he sent? The photos? The lies?" She went quiet. He said they weren't real. I laughed. A bitter, dry laugh. I pulled them from his phone. "You think I faked a 6-year timeline?" She didn't know what to say. I hung up. A week later, I started getting harassed online. First, it was weird comments on my Facebook photos. Stuff like, "Not so perfect now, huh?" Then I got DMs from strangers calling me names. Psycho, controlling, jealous. Someone even emailed my work from an anonymous account claiming I was unstable and had leaked private materials. My boss pulled me aside. Luckily, she had my back. I'd already told her what happened. But the fact that someone tried to come for my job told me everything I needed to know. Luke was spiraling. Then came the worst part. One night, around 11 p.m., someone knocked on my door. I live in a quiet neighborhood. That never happens. I looked through the peephole. It was Luke. Drunk. Slumped on my porch, swaying, holding a half-empty bottle of Jack Daniels. I didn't open the door. He banged on it. I just want to talk. I stood behind the door, my heart racing. He shouted again. You ruined my fking life, you know that? I lost my job, my friends, my fking car because of you. I didn't respond. I had my phone in my hand, ready to call the cops. He kept going. You think you're better than me? You think you're so smart? You're just a bitter old woman. I called 911. Told them there was a drunk man on my porch, shouting, wouldn't leave. He was gone before they got there. But I had it on my security cam. After that, I filed a restraining order. I sent the footage to his mom too. She tried to apologize for him. Said he was just under pressure. That men do stupid things when they're cornered. I told her, no. He did stupid things for 6 years. He only got cornered because I found out. 2 weeks later, I got a call from one of the women in our group chat, Jessica. She told me Rachel had posted something strange. A picture of her and Luke. Together. Again. Caption, working things out. Everyone deserves a second chance. I thought she was kidding. But no. Rachel took him back. I felt like the wind got knocked out of me. He lied to her. Humiliated her. Let her find out he had multiple women. And she still took him back. I messaged her. Hey. Not judging. But are you sure about this? You saw everything. What changed? She left me on read. Jessica was furious. So was Morgan. The whole chat exploded with messages like, she just set herself up to get lied to again. Maybe she never cared about the others. He probably told her we were all crazy. And then Rachel posted a story, some women like to play victim. I choose forgiveness. I nearly threw my phone. That night, I looked through the old chat logs again. Something was bothering me. There was a woman I hadn't messaged yet. I hadn't been able to find her before. Her name was Kate. He called her Kay. Most of the messages were short. Flirty. But something felt off. He'd messaged her from a different email. Not his usual one. I did a search. Found a LinkedIn profile. She worked in compliance at a different company. It hit me, she was a client. He was seeing a client. Sleeping with her. While on company trips. I forwarded the logs to one of the other women with a connection to HR. The next day, Luke's LinkedIn went offline. One of the women messaged the group, he's blacklisted. Not just fired. He can't get hired in the industry now. They're reporting him to the board. Turns out, he'd not only violated his company's ethics code, he'd signed a conflict of interest clause. Sleeping with a client could trigger legal trouble. But he still had Rachel. And that made my stomach turn. I couldn't fix that part. I couldn't force someone to value themselves. But I wasn't finished yet either. Because while Luke was busy trying to get his life back, he made one last mistake. He forgot that I still had the passwords. I wasn't planning to go any further. I really thought I'd done enough. But then Rachel taking him back started to mess with my head. I kept thinking, what if he gets away with all of it? What if this all just becomes another story he twists? That's when I remembered the passwords. Luke used the same one for years. I never cared before, but now? Now it was a gift. I logged into his old email, the one he used for personal stuff. It was still active. I guess in the chaos of getting fired, losing friends, and drunk ranting on porches, he forgot to lock it down. I wasn't looking for anything new. I was wrong. There were PayPal receipts. One from January for $250 to a name I didn't recognize, Heather D. There were messages too. Flirty at first. Then darker. You promised you'd leave her. You told me I was the only one. And one that made me stop breathing. I missed my period. You can't just ignore me. This was before I caught him. I searched her name. Found her Facebook. She lived 2 towns over, in Hendersonville. She had a private profile but one picture was visible, her, in scrubs. She worked in a medical clinic. I used a throwaway account and messaged her. Hi. I know this is random, but did you used to date someone named Luke? She replied 10 minutes later. Yes. Unfortunately. Why? I told her I had reason to believe she might not be the only one. She called me. On the phone, she sounded tired. Like she hadn't slept well in weeks. She said they dated for a year. She'd met him on a dating app. He said he was single, in between jobs, figuring life out. She had no idea he had a live-in girlfriend. No idea he was cheating on her, too. Then she dropped a bomb. I had a miscarriage in February. I didn't know what to say. She said he ghosted her right after. She thought she did something wrong. Blamed herself. Said he acted cold when she told him she was pregnant. Said she didn't feel safe around him. She asked me why I was reaching out now. I told her everything. The group chat, the cheating, the restraining order. She was quiet for a moment. Then said, "Can I have proof of what you found?" I sent her the folder. She replied an hour later, "Thank you. I'm going to talk to someone about this. He doesn't deserve silence." That was 3 days ago. And now? Now I've started getting new messages. From people I've never heard of. Women. Men. Even an old coworker of Luke's. Turns out, this goes way deeper than I thought. Luke didn't just cheat. He lied to clients. He asked coworkers to cover for him. He used fake invoices to pad his travel budget. One message came from someone named Drew. Said he worked with Luke for years. Said he'd always known something was off. He used to brag about juggling women. Said you were the anchor, and the rest were the fun. Anchor. Like I was some damn weight tied to his ankle. Here's the worst part. Rachel posted again. A picture of her and Luke at dinner. Big smiles. Then one of just her. Hand on her stomach. Caption, "Excited for our next chapter red heart." I stared at it for a long time. Either she was pregnant, or pretending to be, to lock him in. I didn't know which was worse. What I did know was that Luke had no idea just how many people were now watching. Waiting. Collecting. I started printing everything out. Not for me. For the women. For legal backup. For the HR rep, for Heather. For whoever needed it next. Because Luke thought this would die down. He thought I'd get angry, then quiet. He had no idea the storm was still coming. The day I saw that pregnancy post from Rachel, I made a decision. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the women who thought they were safe. The ones who were lied to, cheated on, used for money, left behind. The ones who felt crazy for trusting him. And if Rachel really was pregnant, she deserved to know the full truth before she tied herself to him forever. So I made a new folder. This one was just for her. Every lie. Every photo. Every name and date. I made it neat. Labeled. color-coded. I included the messages from Heather, the girl who had the miscarriage. I added screenshots from the women he ghosted, used, stole money from. I even wrote a timeline. Not petty. Just facts. Then I printed the whole thing. Put it in a black envelope. No return address. Just her name. I mailed it to her job. I know. Maybe that sounds cruel. But she blocked me. She didn't want to hear it. And fine, she didn't owe me anything. But her unborn child did. 2 weeks later, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Rachel. You did this? I replied, yes. You needed to know. She didn't respond. But I heard from Jessica later that night. She saw Rachel's IG story go dark. Deleted. Not archived. Gone. The next morning, Rachel's sister, who I didn't even know followed me, messaged me, "Thank you for telling the truth. It was hard. But she needed it." That's when I knew Rachel had left him. Then the final wave hit. Turns out, one of the women in our group worked in government compliance. She quietly filed a formal complaint with the SEC against Luke's old company. They did an audit. The travel expenses Luke filed? Fake. The business dinners? Personal. The hotel invoices? Not authorized. Because of the women he used company funds on. Especially the client he slept with, it triggered a federal investigation. The company had to clean house. They gave up names. Luke's was first on the list. He got blacklisted from the entire industry. No company would touch him. His name was flagged on background checks. He tried to freelance but couldn't get through the red tape. He started selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace to make rent. He moved into his cousin's garage. And the cherry on top? He tried to sue me. Claimed I invaded his privacy and ruined his reputation. I showed up to court with a folder 3 inches thick. His texts. His emails. The restraining order. The police report from the night he showed up drunk. Statements from 3 women he borrowed money from. 2 showed up in person. The judge didn't even let it drag out. Case dismissed. And then? I filed a counterclaim. Defamation. Harassment. Emotional distress. I didn't want his money. He didn't have any left. I wanted the judgment. I wanted the court record to say he was the problem. And I got it. So where am I now? Still in Asheville. Still in the same house, my house. The one he never paid for. The one he used to sleep in while texting other women from the bathroom. I got a dog again. A rescue mutt named Bear. He sleeps at the foot of my bed and growls if anyone even knocks. Sometimes, I think about Luke. Not in a bitter way. Just with curiosity. He could have had a good life. He had a partner who trusted him, women who cared about him, a career, a future. But he wanted control. Wanted to be adored. Wanted to lie without consequences. Now? He's alone. Broke. And exactly where he deserves to be. And me? I learned a few things. Yes, I should have seen some red flags sooner. I should have asked more questions. Trusted my gut more. I own that. But I also know I did what women are told to do. I stayed loyal. I gave space. I was patient. And I still got used. So no. I don't regret the revenge. I didn't scream. I didn't break things. I didn't slash tires. I just exposed the truth. Piece by piece. Until there was nothing left for him to hide behind. And in the end? That was louder than anything he ever said.